As you're probably aware, there are 12 keys, and there are way more than 12 scales. So you could, of course, apply this to all 12 keys and an infinite number of scales. What we're going to do next is a good jumping off point from minor pentatonic is to play a scale that's known as dominant pentatonic. And the only difference between the two is minor pentatonic intervallically is built 1, which is the root, minor third, 4th, 5th. Dominant pentatonic replaces that minor third with a major third. So in the key of A, if we're down here in this position, A minor pentatonic, the notes would be A, C, D, E, G. Those are our 5 notes. C is the minor third. Dominant pentatonic just replaces the minor third with a major third. You may recognize this sound from some Beatles songs, such as The Beatles' Within You and Without You by George Harrison. So we're going to play a dominant pentatonic on the B string. So the first note in a dominant pentatonic on the B string would be the major third, C sharp. We'd have C sharp, D, E, G, A, and then it jumps to C sharp. So this 14th fret is just like the 2nd fret. And then we'd have 14, 15, 17, and 20, which can be bent up to another root note. So here it is all together. Because we're in the key of A, it's nice to just add that A root note at the bottom on the G string, 2nd fret. So that would yield this. So here's a lick on the B string using A dominant pentatonic. But I'm going to incorporate that A note on the G string just because it brings us back to the root note and we can have it at either end. So it would be like this. Here it is with the click. All right, so it came to the first lick where we bounced off the B to get to the high E. I'm kind of bouncing off the A as a little pickup into the lick. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. So you can see I'm doing a lot of sliding. And if I want to, I could just stay on my middle finger. And that's great practice for, your accuracy as you traverse the board. You want to be able to hit those things accurately. So I go up, and then on the way down, so I use that little subtle slide up from a half step below to give it more character. All right, in the next video, we're going to play it over the track. And the track is a 12-bar blues. And what we'll discover is that when we're on the 4 chord, this C sharp, the major third, sounds a little wonky. So the way to get around it is when you're on the 1, it sounds fine. But then right there it goes to D. So we're going to, instead of landing right on a C sharp, we're going to play a C, which is the flat 7 of D. It's going to sound good. But we can use a little slight bend. So this is just a standard procedure in blues articulation where you're going to kind of blur the line between minor and major in that way. So over A, then D, goes back to A. So whenever we're on the D chord, that's the one little variation. So here it is against the track. All right, now let's play along to the track, and we're going to trade back and forth. I'll play the lick, leave a space for you to play the lick, and I'll demo the lick again. And then after that, I'll show you some cool variations. All right, now we're on the 4 chord, so bend that C a little bit. Back on the 1, you can play C sharp. Try to move smoothly between all those position changes as you play. Here comes the 4 chord, so I'll play the C. C sharp. And then on E, you can use C sharp or the C. I'll start with the bent C. Play it again. Now I'll use the C sharp on the 5. So move through slowly and carefully, make sure you articulate all those licks just right. All right, now we're going to stretch out on a little bit, and I'm going to show you some variations on licks based on A dominant pentatonic played over this progression. All right, so in this variation, we're going to start with sounding that C sharp again, but it's an octave higher. But the way I sounded it was by bending a whole step from B. So that gives us the opportunity to hear the pitch dropping. And then I replicated that sound of a pitch dropping followed by a lower note further down on the string with other notes. So there's a connection between the way it starts and the way it ends. So there's a balance in the two sides of the lick. Here it is with the track. with that bend. And try to move smoothly between the positions. Start with that C sharp. And now the 4 chord's coming, so I'll bend to a C. And then C sharp. And then back on it. All right, so now our deviation is going to take us a little further into the unknown. We're starting on the B string, and that string is our focus, but we're also going to incorporate the G and the high E string to have a more balanced lick, and it really is more representative of how Clapton might play these kind of shapes and utilize dominant pentatonic. So here it is. So we begin with a G to A bend. Go to the D. So we moved over the G string. We have 3 notes on the G string. And then we're going to end B to high E and end the last note of the phrase is back on the B. So the B string remains the focus, the focal point of the whole lick, and the other strings just give us some more latitude. Here it is with the track. Now you, nice big bends and big vibratos, just like this. And now you have the top, and I'm going to come in on the 4 chord right here. Try to pick a little differently and get the note to sound different, be played with different timbres. Make it nice and loose. All right, here's another variation. This one's kind of fun because what we're going to do is we're going to emphasize that major third as well as that big jump, which just by itself, to me, sounds cool. But then I'm going to use 1 note on the G string. This is a little kickoff. But when we get to the 4 chord, we have to change that C sharp to a C. So that one note change is appropriate because it creates the sound of a D dominant chord with the use of the C. So here it is with the track, and we can trade it off. Now we're on the 4 chord. We try to use that C, back on the 1, C sharp, and then on the E you can use the C sharp again. Your turn. And now we're on the 4, I'll use the C. On the 5, C sharp is fine, and back on the 1. All right, so now we have a new scale. We have A dominant pentatonic. So you're going to want to memorize the notes of A dominant pentatonic. A, C sharp, D, E, G. It's pentatonic, so it's 5-tone, and like minor pentatonic. But we've substituted a major third, so that's the difference between minor pentatonic and dominant pentatonic. So those notes, A, C sharp, D, E, G, doesn't matter where you play them on the guitar and what strings, you're always going to be playing A dominant pentatonic, because that's the formula. So be sure to move across all the strings, play the scale on a single string, traversing the board, all of them, of course, move to the D, the A, and the low E, and then start to connect them in adjacent pairs, as we did just a little bit, and you'll find an infinite number of uses for this scale played over this type of music, blues type music.